The most important thing to realize is that your worth is not something that can be uncovered or dismantled by others. People may go to great lengths to find flaws or mistakes in your past, but those elements are simply parts of a much larger story that belongs only to you. When you stop worrying about what others might find and start focusing on the person you are becoming, you reclaim a massive amount of emotional energy. Your life is not a mystery to be solved by the public. It is a private garden that you have the right to tend to as you see fit. Toxic individuals thrive on the idea that they have some kind of leverage over you, often using your insecurities or past experiences as a way to keep you in a state of fear. They want you to believe that if your true self were ever revealed, you would be rejected or shamed by the world around you. This is a common tactic of manipulation designed to keep you small and compliant. To break free from this, you must accept that everyone has a history filled with ups and downs, and having a messy past does not make you a bad person. In fact, the things you have survived and the lessons you have learned are often your greatest sources of strength. When you own your narrative and speak your truth with confidence, the weapons used by those who wish to harm you lose their edge. You become much harder to control when you are no longer hiding from yourself or the world, allowing you to live with a sense of freedom that no one can take away. Confusion often stems from trying to balance the loud, conflicting voices of society with the quiet, steady intuition that lives inside your own heart. We are bombarded with messages about what success looks like, how we should act in relationships, and what we need to buy to be happy. It is incredibly easy to get lost in this noise and feel as though you are failing because you don't fit into a specific mold. To find clarity, you must learn to tune out the external chatter and focus on the small, simple things that bring you a sense of peace. You do not need a grand plan for the next 10 years to be doing a good job. You just need to know what the next right step is for your own well-being. By simplifying your expectations and focusing on the present moment, you remove the power that uncertainty has over your mind. Clarity is not found in a grand revelation, but in the daily practice of being honest with yourself about what you truly need. Manipulation can be incredibly subtle, often appearing as a helpful suggestion or a concerned comment that secretly serves someone else's agenda. You might find yourself agreeing to things that make you uncomfortable just to keep the peace or to avoid a confrontation. Over time, this constant yielding can leave you feeling empty and resentful, as if your own life no longer belongs to you. Recognizing these patterns is the first step toward reclaiming your agency and building a life that feels authentic. You have every right to set boundaries and to say no to requests that drain your spirit, regardless of how much pressure someone else puts on you. A person who truly cares about your happiness will respect your limits and will not try to trip you into compliance. Standing your ground might feel scary at first, but it is the only way to ensure that your relationships are based on mutual respect rather than control and convenience. Self-improvement is not about reaching a state of perfection where you never make a mistake or feel insecure again. Instead, it is about the quiet, consistent work of showing up for yourself, even when things are difficult and messy. It involves looking at your habits with a sense of curiosity rather than judgment, and deciding which ones are helping you grow and which ones are keeping you stuck. You might find that small changes, like going for a walk every evening or spending less time on social media, have a much bigger impact than you expected. These minor victories build a foundation of self-trust that allows you to handle the larger challenges of life with more grace and resilience. You do not need to perform for an audience or prove your worth to anyone else. You just need to be a little bit more intentional with your choices today than you were yesterday. Growth is a slow and steady process that happens in the repetitive moments of your daily routine. The way we talk to ourselves inside our own heads has a massive impact on how we perceive the world and our place in it. Many of us are far more critical of our own flaws than we would ever be of a friend's, creating a cycle of negativity that is hard to break. This internal critic often picks up the voices of the judgmental people we have encountered throughout our lives, replaying their criticisms as if they were absolute truths. Shifting this dialogue requires a great deal of patience and self-compassion, but it is one of the most rewarding things you can do for your mental health. When you start treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you offer to others, you find that you have much more energy to tackle the obstacles in your path. You are your own longest relationship, so it pays to make that internal environment as supportive and encouraging as possible. You deserve to be on your own side, especially when the world feels cold or unforgiving. Forgiveness is often misunderstood as an act of letting someone else off the hook for their bad behavior. But it is actually a gift you give to yourself. When you hold on to anger and resentment, you are essentially allowing the person who hurt you to live in your head rent-free, continuing to cause you pain long after the event has passed. Choosing to move on does not mean that what they did was okay, or that you have to welcome them back into your life. It simply means that you are refusing to let that old wound control your current mood. By releasing the emotional grip that a past conflict has on you, you reclaim the power to focus on your own healing and happiness. This process is rarely quick or easy, but every bit of weight you drop makes your journey toward peace much smoother. You are allowed to let go of the stories that no longer serve you and create a new narrative that is focused on your own resilience and strength. Living authentically requires a great deal of courage, especially in a world that often rewards conformity and the curation of a perfect image. Being honest about your struggles and your journey can feel incredibly vulnerable, but it is also the only way to form deep, meaningful connections with others. When you stop hiding the parts of yourself that you think are unacceptable, you give others permission to do the same, creating a community built on honesty and support. Authenticity is not about oversharing every detail of your life, but about being consistent in your values and showing up as your true self in every situation. This transparency builds a sense of internal solidness that makes you much harder to knock off balance by the opinions or judgments of others. You will find that the right people are drawn to your honesty, while those who prefer the act will naturally fade away, leaving you with a social circle that truly understands and respects you. We often focus so much on the big milestones that we forget to celebrate the small wins that happen every single day. Successfully setting a boundary, choosing a healthy meal, or simply taking 5 minutes to breathe deeply are all significant achievements in the grand scheme of personal development. When you start acknowledging these moments, you build a positive momentum that makes the bigger challenges feel much more manageable. Self-compassion is a vital tool in this process, as it allows you to acknowledge your efforts without immediately jumping to criticism for what you haven't done yet. By shifting your focus from your perceived failures to your actual efforts, you create a much more supportive internal environment for long-term success. You are making progress even on the days when it feels like you are just standing still, and those quiet efforts are the building blocks of a life that feels honest and fulfilling. The digital age has made it easier than ever for rumors and misinformation to spread, creating a culture where people feel entitled to judge lives they have never actually lived. It is easy to feel unsettled by the idea of being misunderstood or having your reputation tarnished by things that are taken out of context. However, the most important truth is the one you live every day through your actions, your integrity, and how you treat those around you. You cannot control what people say behind your back or what they think they have discovered about you. But you can control how much weight you give to those external narratives. Staying grounded in your own reality ensures that you remain the author of your own story, regardless of how many people try to scribble in the margins. Your character is built on the long-term consistency of your behavior, not on the fleeting opinions of those who don't truly know your heart.